Hello and welcome to Hitogify. Today we're going to look at the different eras of Kiss, and I've defined them into 7 categories. Most people talk about the makeup years, the non-makeup years, and then the return to makeup. I've broken down into quite a few based on the music and where things were. You may disagree with some of my things, but let's give it a look. Also, let me comment that I have created a spreadsheet that I think is really cool and a way to break down albums into a number of categories. This should obviously say Kiss because I'm going to compare my first uh, my first era to my second era, album by album. Look at the track listings here. It compares them by track listing, as most people do, head to head, first song to first song, and so on. But I don't know if that's the best way. I've got a ranked one where you can actually rank the different songs. How are they, 1 to 10? Which is first, which is second, and so on. And finally, just a song score. You give each song a score of where you think they reside. When that's all done, it will be compared on the first page here with the overall score, everything from the cover art to the total track listing, the ranked total, the song listing, and then the overall score of all of those put together down here. So enough of that. Let's go to the whole point of today's, which is the different eras of Kiss. So here on Hitogify, I have broken them down into a number of categories. These are the 7 that I've created: the raw era, the polished era, super kiss, the lost era, return to form, in the weeds, which I keep thinking should be in the woods. Life in the woods would be easy. And finally, the modern era. Let's look through these. The raw era, I think everybody knows what that's going to be, the first 3 albums, right? Kiss, Hotter Than Hell, and Kiss Dress to Kill. Those are the 3 iconic opening albums of Kiss. However, they didn't make much of a splash until Alive came out. Once Alive came out, the first 3 albums, whoo, everybody looks back at them, and the nuggets and the gems in there are just outstanding. Now, on the rest of this list, I'm not going to include all the live albums. I don't even consider them all live albums. Um, I'm only considering the first 2, which, speaking of that second era, we've got the raw era here. Next, we have the polished era: Destroyer, Rock and Roll Over, and Love Gun, the 3 iconic albums that are more polished. The raw era, if we go back to the raw era, the production quality is a little bit lower on this until we get to Alive with Eddie Kramer doing his thing. The production quality is fairly poor on those first 3, particularly the first 2. I think the third one's a little bit better. And yet, for me, that's my least favorite, but we'll get into that when I rate the albums. This next era, when they got Bob Ezrin in there, and produced Destroyer, everything changed. Much more polished, which is why I call this the polished era. And we have Eddie Kramer, I believe, doing the both of the next 2 albums. I know he did Rock and Roll Over. But this era has a totally different tone, culminating in Alive 2, which again, super polished, just fantastic album. I think those 2 head to head are a good competition. Now the fourth side of Kiss Alive 2, of course, isn't live, but that studio stuff, that's some of my favorites. I love those songs. My favorite Ace song is in there. Let's look at the next era. So we've got the raw era, the polished era, and then Super Kiss. After they've produced all that material, there's turmoil in the band in order to keep that together. Instead of people going off and doing their individual solo albums, they did solo albums as Kiss, each producing their own solo album. Obviously, Paul and Ace stand above the others. I enjoy Gene's in a lot of ways. Peter's, I don't know what that thing is. There's a couple songs on there I think that would, as contemporary music of that time for grown-ups, might have been interesting, but mostly just not good. Then they released Double Platinum. Again, I won't do any compilations in here except for Double Platinum, which is sort of it's all that music, all the eras so far, all together. And then finally, Dynasty as the culmination of the Super Kiss era. After that, I go into the Lost era. I don't think these albums sound like Kiss albums. Actually, Music from the Elder does more than Kiss Unmasked. Um, so I call this the Lost era. They had left their roots in every single way. Doing a concept album was nothing like anything in the past. Um, so this era sort of just sits all on its own in Lost. Although In the Weeds could mirror this. Although I think these albums are great albums in and of themselves, whereas coming up, there's some bad stuff. After this, I've got The Return to Kiss. Now, oddly, this blends the makeup era with the non-makeup era, so I don't even have a distinction between those, musically speaking. The songs on Killers brought them back to form, although that wasn't released in the United States, so you can argue that that's not doesn't fit in with these. Wasn't an official release here in the United States. Creatures of the Night, definitely back to form, but still in makeup, and that had become passe or whatever. Um, Lick It Up, they take off the makeup and really get back to form again. Creatures and Lick It Up, the sister albums. I kind of see Asylum and Animalize as sister albums, but I think Asylum's far better, although a few of the songs on Animalize are as good as most of the stuff in their catalog. I've had enough. Ooh, come on, that thing's awesome. So, um, this I called The Return. They were hot. They were doing their thing. I think Gene gets pretty weak by Animalize, but really cool stuff. Then we're in the weeds. I think Crazy Nights is the worst Kiss album. End of story. And I think I blame that entirely on Paul, as he usually carried albums. His material on here is abysmal. I like Hot in the Shade more than Crazy Nights by far. Revenge, I know people love it, but it doesn't sound like Kiss to me. It's missing everything, and especially the innuendo. There is no innuendo. Take It Off is a song about taking it off. It's terrible. It's like, let's put the X in sex garbage. Um, so I don't even know what to say about these. Carnival of Souls is actually my favorite of these four albums. I know a lot of people go, but it's not a Kiss album, really. It doesn't sound like Kiss. I could argue that, or I could agree with that, but I still like it better than the rest of these. These were not Kiss albums as I see it. And I know I'll get pushback on Revenge. I get it, but I just don't like it. I think it's terrible. Couple good songs, but generally speaking, Spit, please, so stupid. Um, and Domino, one of my least favorite Kiss songs of all time. Going on, we are now into the modern era. Kiss reunites, puts the makeup back on, releases Psycho Circus. Now, of course, we know, I think we could tell at its release that it wasn't the original four just doing their thing, but there's some really cool stuff on there. Still not a favorite of mine, don't play it a lot. Sonic Boom was the new Kiss, with Eric replacing Peter and Tommy replacing Ace. Um, there's some cool stuff on there. Modern Day Delilah is a phenomenal song. And then Monster, which I think is superior to Sonic Boom. Might argue that it's superior to both of these. Anyway, and people tend to love or hate these. They like one over the other and don't like them or do like them. I don't know. I would listen to Monster before most of these. And in there sometimes, as soon as they lose the innuendo, the double entendres, whatnot, they just what? Just it's a mess. Let's see what's after that. Nothing, because these are the 7 eras: the Raw era, the Polished era, Super Kiss, Lost, Return, In the Weeds, and Modern. This is how I break down Kiss. Everybody else can do it in their own way, however they would like. But this is where I see stuff. Huge Kiss fan forever. I hope you check out my next video coming up, or my previous video where I show again the thing I mentioned, the album categories. This is because I was typing that. Oh my gosh, that's not it. I'll be rating these albums coming up. Put this down here where I can't hurt anything. and hopefully you'll check out Hitogify in the future. Thanks for checking it out. Let me know what you think of the different eras of KISS that I've come up with. Did I completely miss the mark? Were they interesting? Were they just stupid? Whatever you think, let me know. I'd love to hear it. Thanks for tuning in to Hitogify.